Porsche has a problem. Every Porsche they build makes people want a different Porsche. The Boxster owner wants a Cayman. The Cayman owner wants a 911. The 911 owner starts browsing GT3 listings at 2 in the morning. And the GT3 owner? He's already watching videos of a car he may never own. The strange part? Nobody enters the Porsche world dreaming about a 918 Spyder. But somehow, that's where the road always seems to lead. Today we're exploring the 7 levels of Porsche obsession. From the first Porsche people buy, to the machine that made Ferrari and McLaren look over their shoulders. And trust me, the final level feels less like a car and more like an engineering hallucination. Every Porsche owner says they're finished. They're lying. Level 1. The gateway drug. Most people call the Boxster an entry-level Porsche. Which is funny, because for most of the world, owning any Porsche already sounds ridiculous. The Boxster isn't Porsche's cheapest dream. It's Porsche's smartest trap. Mid-engine, balanced, fun. Enough Porsche to make you fall in love, not enough Porsche to satisfy you forever. And that's exactly the point, because Porsche doesn't want your first purchase. It wants your second one. The funny thing about the Boxster is that many owners spend years defending it. Not because people hate it, because Porsche enthusiasts can be surprisingly brutal. Some call it the beginner Porsche, some call it the hairdresser Porsche, yet every time someone actually drives one, the jokes usually stop. Because the Boxster has a habit of reminding people that driving pleasure and status aren't always the same thing. And that's where Porsche's trap becomes dangerous. You arrive looking for a badge. You leave understanding the obsession. Level 2. The problem child. Then comes the Cayman. And this is where things get awkward. For years, Porsche faced a strange problem. The Cayman kept getting better, too good, too balanced, too capable. Journalists started asking questions Porsche never wanted to hear. Wait, is this actually better than the 911? That question alone was enough to shake internal philosophy. Because the Cayman was never meant to threaten the flagship. It was designed to sit below it, to support it, to stay in its lane. But engineering doesn't always respect hierarchy. Every new generation narrowed the gap. Every lap time added pressure. Every review blurred the line. And suddenly, a quiet coupe became a serious internal rival, sparking debates across forums, dealerships, and dinner tables. Careful. You're about to start a civil war. The Cayman is where admiration becomes obsession. Level 3. The impossible icon. The 911 is one of the most successful mistakes in automotive history. Engineers spent decades explaining why putting the engine behind the rear axle was a terrible idea. Porsche listened, then ignored all of them. Any other company would have redesigned the car. Porsche spent 60 years perfecting the mistake instead. And somehow, they were right. For more than 60 years, the 911 has survived every trend, every crisis, and every prediction of its death. The shape barely changed. The legend never stopped growing. Entire generations grew up drawing the same shape in school notebooks. A roofline, 2 round headlights, a silhouette that somehow survived decades without becoming outdated. Most manufacturers reinvent themselves every few years. Porsche spent 60 years refining the same idea, and somehow made it work. The 911 didn't become iconic because it changed constantly. It became iconic because it refused to become anything else. Most people think this is the destination. Porsche knows better. Level 4, the enthusiast's secret. The GTS is where Porsche owners become dangerous. Not because it's the fastest, because it's the hardest to argue against. Ask 10 enthusiasts which Porsche they'd actually buy with their own money. A shocking number will say, GTS, not turbo. Not GT3, GTS. Enough comfort for daily driving. Enough performance to terrify your passengers. Enough character to make every drive feel important. The GTS isn't dramatic. It's confident, and confidence is addictive. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't need to. It just delivers everything in one package without compromise. That is why enthusiasts keep coming back to it again. Level 5. The addiction. This is where normal people leave the conversation. GT3 owners don't ask, "How much horsepower does it make?" They ask, "What's the red line?" Different species, different priorities, same obsession. The GT3 doesn't care about practicality. It doesn't care about comfort. It barely cares about your spine. It cares about driving. Every vibration matters. Every shift matters. Every corner matters. Nobody buys a GT3 because they need one. Absolutely nobody. At this point, you're not buying transportation. You're buying an experience. GT3 owners are a strange breed. They willingly wake up before sunrise, drive 2 hours to a mountain road, spend 30 minutes talking about tire temperatures, then claim they're having a relaxing weekend. To everyone else, they look insane. To another GT3 owner, that sounds like a perfect Saturday. And that's the thing about the GT3. At some point, it stops being a car and starts becoming part of your personality. Level 6, the monster. The GT3 RS looks like a race car that accidentally became street legal. Massive wings, aggressive aerodynamics, enough downforce to sound completely made up. At high speed, the GT3 RS produces more downforce than some race cars from just a few decades ago. Numbers that would have sounded impossible not very long ago. The first time you see one, it feels excessive. The second time, it starts making sense. This is the level where Porsche engineers stop negotiating with reality, a naturally aspirated machine keeping pace with cars that cost twice as much. Not because it's more powerful, because it's more focused. This isn't performance. It's obsession turned into engineering. And on track, it feels like everything unnecessary has been removed, leaving only precision speed and intent in every corner. Level 7, the impossible one, and finally, the last level. In 2013, 3 hypercars arrived: the Ferrari LaFerrari, the McLaren P1, and the Porsche 918 Spyder. One of those names feels slightly out of place. And that's exactly what made the 918 special. Ferrari was expected to build a hypercar. McLaren was expected to build a hypercar. Porsche wasn't. Porsche showed up with a hybrid, and half the automotive world rolled their eyes. Then the lap times arrived. Suddenly, nobody was laughing anymore. Yet somehow Porsche created one of the greatest performance cars ever made. A naturally aspirated V8. Electric motors. Technology years ahead of its time. What makes the 918 special isn't just what it did. It's when it arrived. Back then, many enthusiasts believed hybrid technology belonged in economy cars, not hypercars. Not dream cars, not posters hanging on bedroom walls. Then, Porsche built a machine that challenged that idea completely. Suddenly, electric motors weren't replacing performance, they were enhancing it. The 918 didn't just build a great hypercar, it helped change how the entire industry thought about the future. And today, more than a decade later, you can still see its influence almost everywhere. A machine capable of behaving like a civilized grand tourer one moment, and a spaceship the next. The 918 wasn't built to win an argument, it was built to answer a question. What happens when Porsche stops being sensible? The answer was one of the most extraordinary cars of the modern era. Imagine building something so good that even Porsche owners can't afford it. Remember how we started? Porsche has a problem. Every Porsche they build makes people want another Porsche. The Boxster leads to the Cayman. The Cayman leads to the 911. The 911 leads to the GT3. And somewhere along the way, people stop buying cars. They start chasing a feeling. From the first Porsche dream to the impossible 918 Spyder. 7 levels. One obsession. So tell me, which level are you? And if you enjoy stories about the machines people become obsessed with, the cars they never forget, and the legends that refuse to die, subscribe. Because at the end of the day, this channel isn't really about cars. It's about why we fall in love with them.